we had an out-of-state lady that started up with us and just wanted to talk about wholesaling and the cash for key strategy. Knock it out. Here's how you do the research. She did a list of 100 properties that met her criteria in one area, Birmingham. The first phone call she made, she skipped trace, called the owner, and there was $2,700 owed in back taxes. She negotiated a deal for a quit claim on the property for $3,200. She never came to the state. They got the paperwork in order, and she turned around and flipped it for over 30 grand. So she 10x'd her money in a span of, I think, maybe 60 days or something.
How? Where? It's called tax lien investing. Well, how do you find these opportunities? Don't worry about it. I got you. Today, I'm going to share a tool with you that's going to make it so easy to find these tax lien opportunities sitting at home in your PJs. So if you want to see how this tool works and how to access this tool, you know what you need to do is simply stand by. Let's get it.
Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. You text me then I'll text you back. Text me then I'll text you back. TikTok, you don't stop. I will help you make your paper stack. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at now? 205-964-5243. Now you know. 205-964-5243. Now you know.
Hello, guys. This is Ty, a.k.a. The Flip Man. And today, we have a very, very special guest that is going to share an unbelievable tool resource to get into the tax investing side of the business. My man Tim is here with Parcel Fair. I just stumbled into this particular tool. It hadn't even been a week, and I was just blown away. I signed up immediately after about watching 4 videos on YouTube and went to the site, and I was all in. It's a must if you're going to take this part of the business serious, which is very niche-y and very profitable. So I'm new to it, so you're going to learn when I learn. So enough of me yapping. How's it going, Tim?
Doing great, man. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm great. Number one, the tool is Tim is here local in the same market that I'm in. And what was even more amazing when I got turned on to it by a friend of mine, Michelle. And so I paid, like I said, I paid for the service. I had been using it all day Sunday, I think it was. It must have been Saturday, just all day, just sitting in my in recliner with my laptop, and I was just engulfed into trying to find properties that met the tax deed, tax certificate status or whatever, which we'll get into that. So just to get into it, Tim, if you can just give us a little background about yourself, and we'll lead up to the actual tool, and then we'll show you guys how to use it.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm my background is in software development and specifically research tools. So I put machines to work and put them to heavy work and big data sources and just kind of heavy crunching, if you will. So that's really my background. Real estate came years later, and the two kind of intersected for me, and here we are.
Okay, boom. Okay, so I assume before you developed the tool, you had started down that rabbit hole of tax investing.
I had, yes. I saw some friends do pretty well with it, and got my attention with some of their returns. And some of these were longer game, 6-7 years even, where they were doing some of these, but it was vacant lots, low risk, and they were turning $7,000 into 30 or 40,000 after just a few years. And when I saw it, it sparked my interest, and then I was immediately surprised at how difficult it was using the old school PDFs, and the way they publish this information is pretty sad.
Well, let's explain that in Alabama. Both of us are in Alabama, and you had 2 options, and one of them only more recent, from my understanding, because I hadn't checked into it a long time ago. You could go down to the courthouse and spend $25, and they would give you this thick printout, like from an old Xerox machine or something. I think that's what they called it. And so they just have a bunch of parcel numbers, with the person's name, a couple of more codes there, maybe some type of price, and that's it. So now it's left up to you to start to use those parcel numbers one by one to determine where this property was located. Now, you could use the county website to do that, and it's not the most user-friendly, but I think it would allow you to do that if you knew how much of the so-called parcel number to use, then put into the site or whatever. So and then they went to the disk. You could wait a minute. Then they went to a disk, right? That you could pull up a Excel spreadsheet on your laptop or desktop. Mm-hmm. And then I think they do have it online through the state now or something like that, right?
They do, and it depends on if you're looking at auctions or if you're looking at stuff you can buy year-round over the counter. But you're exactly right. You had to take a giant, 18 to 20 digit number, and then you had to know which numbers in there were important and take the other ones out. And sometimes you had to put spaces or dashes or dots depending on whose county you were in. So we try to normalize that for everybody. I don't want my users to have to do that anymore.
I got you. So when did the aha moment happen?
Well, I worked through Birmingham and Shelby County first. And then I realized, hey, there's a pattern here, and moved right over. So it was Jefferson, Birmingham. I moved over to Jefferson, Bessemer, got it working, and then just went for the whole state. Next thing you knew, we had 68 counties, all pulled into the system and able to research.
Okay. All right. So I'm saying, so if you were trying to do this yourself, I'm like, when, not when you first developed the software, but when did you say, man, I could come up with something to solve this problem?
I think, well, that ambition started the day I opened my first PDF. Because my friend showed me how to butcher the number to go search it. And I was like, well, I'm not ever going to do that again.
Okay.
That's what software's for. But I realized that this could be something that other people would find useful after a few friends told me, hey, this is something that people would probably like to use. And so we started there.
Okay. How old is it officially?
I think our first subscribers were late 2018.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's get into it, man. You want to share your screen?
Absolutely. Right. So the website is parcelfair.com. And really, we're focused on Alabama was our first state, but we do offer other states. So Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi, and we actually have Tennessee and Indiana auctions this year too. So it's every year we're adding to it. But ultimately, if there's only one thing you take away today, I really want you to know what we're about. And when I started this and started getting subscribers into it, I really just wanted everyday real estate investors to have first-class tools and access to first-class data, but keep it at a price point where they could kind of punch above their weight against the big boys and have some money left over to invest. Because if I ask you for 10 grand to use this software, that's deals you could have gone into, and now you maybe you can't fund your deals because you're funding your software. So we tried to keep this thing very mass appeal and within reach for investors. So we'll just jump right into the first tab. I'd like to show you. This is Birmingham, Jefferson County on a map. And basically what you see that looks kind of like a storm cloud, these are the available tax properties that I can tell you how to buy today. That we have through some inventory, whether it's the state or the county or even the city of Birmingham, we know a way to purchase these tax properties today. And that's what you're looking at on the map.
Now, let's start here. Each state is different, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, and you understand that there's no way you have to understand the debate to put this together. Let's start there, because we gotta, because people say, what is this, or what? How can I use this to make money or whatever? Mm-hmm. Let's start where the different. We'll start with Alabama. We'll touch on a couple other states. Let's start in the different stages of the tax deed, tax lien investing process.
Absolutely.
Let's start there first.
Sure. So this is a very interesting time in Alabama because we're in two different systems. 35 of our counties have moved to the tax lien system as of 2022, which leaves 33 counties roughly still in the old tax deed, tax certificate system. Okay.
So what's the difference in the new one and the old one?
Absolutely. So in the old one, you could actually buy a certificate or a deed, depending on where it was in its process, and you could actually perform an ejectment and take possession of the property and start to do things like preservation improvements, fix the roof, fix the windows, and even move in yourself or put a renter in there while you're waiting out your redemption period to eventually you could clear the title and flip it. But you had several years where you couldn't do that, but there was a way to make money on the property still. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to the new system, and it's now a 3-year foreclosable tax lien is what it's called, which means if you buy the tax lien, you wait your 3 years out, and at that third year, you can foreclose on the house. But during those 3 years, you can't move into it, you can't take possession, perform an ejectment, or do preservation improvements. So your options during those 3 years are very limited. So there's a lot of strong opinions about this new system.
Okay. So where is the opportunity there in those 3 years then? Is just what do you, well, I guess it's, what are the opportunities with it being that way now?
So with everything 2022 and going forward in Jefferson County, you're either buying at the beginning of the 3 years and waiting it out, or if you can find opportunities that are 1 or 2 years in, you can buy those and just get the remainder potentially, buy the leftover, if you will, lien, and then move forward in the years, and then eventually foreclose on those. But what I will say is there's still a ton of inventory in the old system. In Jefferson, Birmingham alone, there's over 13,000 still in the old deed system, and those are kind of the prime deals that most of my users are looking for. You can throw in Bessemer, and there's a few thousand more as well. So there's still a lot of inventory in that old tax deed system that as it ages, and actually people are even more interested because the likelihood of redemption just keeps going down.
I got you. Okay. So is it still an opportunity because you do have so it's not called a tax certificate anymore. Is it just a tax lien?
Right. The new system, they just call it tax liens.
Okay. So is it still an opportunity to reach out to the person that has redeeming rights to see if they want to sell it?
Absolutely. Yes. So that's a great point. You can still do your homework on the owners and skip trace and find them. And, this is something, obviously you've taught many people how to do this, but those tax liens are a great opportunity because again, it's a signal to say, this is a distressed situation. There could be a motivated seller involved. They're not paying their taxes. So maybe there's a way to reach a deal directly with the owner and get that property faster than waiting 3 years.
Before we get into this, if you could go through some of the filters there that you just had up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. So let me back up here a bit. We're loading a lot of properties right now because I'm pulling up everything that was unavailable last year. So you see 14,000 parcels, but these are the filters. Now, the main point here is that we're throwing tens of thousands of properties at you in different markets. Not all of these are good deals for you, but there's a lot of opportunity there. So let's help you narrow in on what you want, what your strategy is. So first off, you pick your state right here, and you can see what we're looking at. We're going to stick with Jefferson, Birmingham, but lots of counties to choose from. And at this point, we might say, let's try to stick with buildings and improvements only. Maybe we'll avoid vacant land, so I can set that filter. This one gets really specific. Remember, we talked about deeds, certificates, and liens a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to just narrow in on deeds only, this is where you would do that. Let's pretend our total value, let's put a floor at $20,000. And when I say anything below that, maybe I don't want it because the county valuation is just too low. If I cared about the annual taxes, I could put a range here. Acreage, if I wanted to say, if I'm looking for big land, I might say 10 acres or more.
Mm-hmm.
And then these next ones get very interesting. During different times of the year, auctions may be taking place. And if you're a kind of person that doesn't want to see auctions, you might want to see only over-the-counter purchases. And this is where you filter that out. And vice versa. If you're only into auctions, you might want to just look at upcoming auctions only. We're out of auction season right now, so this won't make a ton of sense if you do that. And then the other option here, we do have a secondary market of resellers that will actually sell tax deeds to each other. So you could just look at those opportunities. But right
Okay.
now, I'll just leave it everything for now, just for the purpose of this.
Okay. All right.
Occupancy is really cool because we could actually say, if your strategy is to work with occupied properties, there could be some advantages there that someone's actually keeping the house in decent shape. So maybe I just want to do that to keep my rehab costs in check. Or if I don't want to deal with people, maybe I just want vacant only. I could do vacant only. We'll just leave that alone for now.
Okay.
And then this one I think is pretty cool too. Some people want to make sure the owner is distant, that maybe they're out of state or at least out of the city. And so this lets you filter for just those opportunities where the owner's out of state or even just different address because, maybe it's a landlord situation or distant heir that has lost track and doesn't care about the property, right?
Okay.
So that's how you kind of formulate your strategy. Everything in the advanced is more about the display. Like earlier I said, we can look at things that were unavailable from the past year. We could, if I want to look within just a boxed area, I could say just show everything within 2-mile radius or 5-mile radius, whatever. So those are kind of just finer point type of things. But did anything pique your interest? Do you want to change any of these filters?
No. We can go what we were originally looking for. I would like for you to at least show how you can layer it with the opportunity zone option and explain why that's important or why it could be important.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the right side, you see the markers and overlays button. We could find my location if you're like a lot of people go out and they want to see where they are or if they're trying to find an exact house, and that can help you out. Don't do that while you're driving. Make sure you pull over.
Oh, yeah.
But at this point, you can draw the county borders if you want to see where Jefferson County ends. But you mentioned opportunity zones, which let's go ahead and paint those on the map. What that means, opportunity zones are a program that it's initiated by the HUD, Department of HUD in the federal government, but they partner with every state to designate opportunity zones in a county that are prime for investment. They want to encourage growth and investment in these areas. And so this yellow shading that we've put over, well, it's all over the airport too, but we've highlighted these properties for you to say, these are in an opportunity zone, and you could split hairs and see we're almost across the street. This one's not, but this one is. And why do you care about that? It's because if you have, let's say you're a wholesaler, for example, and your buyers are trying to take funds out of investments that are going to incur capital gains taxes. They could actually roll those funds out of whatever market they're in and defer those capital gains taxes if they invest in real estate from an opportunity zone. So I said that was a lot to say, but in short, it's a great way to avoid steep capital gains taxes if you can roll it into these types of real estate investments. And then you're in the real estate vehicle where you can defer that out in perpetuity as long as you keep it in some form of real estate. So that's why people care about that. And, wholesalers care about it, investors care about it. Anyone that may want to, that would find that appealing, really.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Boom.
So, now we're just looking at properties and opportunity zones. We're maybe we'll find something a little fresher. There's a 2013. Hey, it's 2019. Let's take a look at that one. So this one actually has a house. It looks like. So from the screen, what you can see is, we know it's 2019 and it's 0.18 acres, land and structure. So we know that the county valuation record shows a house there. And we can see that it's valued at $24,400 for improvements. Okay. There's some of those numbers we talked about earlier, municipal codes, CS numbers, and things to keep track of. But then we get down to, we can see it's a residential zone with the 1,020 square foot. It's a 3-1 in Eastlake with an address to go check it out. Next up, you see occupied property address. This one's kind of neat because one of our users actually came up with this a few years ago where he said, hey, on biggerpockets.com, there's people constantly selling these lists of postal service properties that are vacant. And why can't we put that on the website? So we, of course, figured out a way to do that. And so now we check with the Postal Service to show that in this case, they are actively receiving mail at this house, which signals to us that it's most likely occupied.
Okay.
And we check that very frequently. You can see we last checked it today, 9/16.
Okay. So, and if you scroll down more, that shows who actually owns it, or you think they may have the certificate on it? I guess you won't know until you go deeper.
Well, so yeah, and actually, at this point we can see a different address. We see the owner's name, but we actually have deep links over here to the county website. So we can actually go to sales info, for example, and you can see that it looks like in 2018 they took over the property here, which means they're probably just the outright owner at this point.
Okay.
And
care of, yeah.
And I mean, that's an important point. We always talk about property report cards, and I want you to be able to go straight to the source, and so we link you to the county website, so you can go check out each one of these little pieces of information that the county provides, and frankly, get it straight from the horse's mouth, so you can see where we're stitching the data together from.
Okay, all right.
In Jefferson County, a few of the counties offer what's called a payoff worksheet, where you can actually go see what were the back taxes owed. Let's just zoom in on that. So it itemizes the years, the fees, the interest, and gives us a nice bottom line number of what it would take to satisfy the county if you wanted to pay all the back taxes for this. And
oh, wow. I actually went down there, so I could have just did this.
Yeah. It's funny, the Jefferson County website, this little feature is hidden. Like, we had to go find this. It was not easy to find at all. Most people don't ever see it. But it's pretty handy.
And man, this website hasn't changed. I've been doing this since 2003, and this Jefferson County website hadn't changed in 20 years, like literally our tax money.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I think Mobile finally jumped off of this same system and got a modern one, but this is very old looking. It may have been old in 2003 already.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm sure that's the original version whenever they went online, whenever that was. The green button, the apply online, if you could explain that.
Absolutely. So this whole block, the purchase options block, what we try to do is find as many ways we can think of or find for you to go buy this property. And so in this case, we only know one for this property, but it's a good one. It's the Alabama Department of Revenue, which means, down in Montgomery, Alabama, they have an office of people that take applications where you're requesting a price quote. And so we have some brief instructions here and then a link over to the application, and it takes you, it searches for the property for you and takes you all the way down to the property if their website will load, and it does. Okay. But, you can see we have the parcel number, the description, and we've jumped all the way to the application form. So you can just come here and fill it out in a few seconds. It doesn't take any time at all.
Okay. All right. Good. Nice. All right. So if we wanted to, like whenever this, we're staying in Alabama for a second, we're going to jump to maybe another state. Whenever the what do they call, the auction season is approaching, how far out do you get the data on that?
Good question. In Alabama, most counties, we get a nice scoop on it because we're able to get preview lists directly from the county before it ever goes to the auction house. The auctions start in April. We start loading them up in January. So you have months on many, many counties to look at. Jefferson is one exception. We get that maybe 6 weeks out from the auction, but that's because they just kind of hang on to it and publish it when they're ready. So
yeah. You were explaining to me from our initial conversation that that Jefferson County has, if you include, it's broken up into two zones, Bessemer and Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
It has what percentage or what number of the total properties available?
Sure. So it's more than half. So the state as a whole has about 22,000 tax delinquent properties right now. Jefferson, Birmingham alone has about 13,000 of those. And if you add in Bessemer, that's maybe 3,000 more properties. So 16 out of 22, whatever that percentage comes out to, is all Birmingham.
So this particular property that is highlighted here.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the situation on this one? Let's look at this one.
Yeah, so it's a 2007 tax deed, and we're going to jump right in the report and show you. My gut on these is that they're usually, see, you can already tell it's been bulldozed because it's actually so old.
Oh, wow.
2007 is just 15 years since the auction. I mean, it's just the odds of that property being in good shape are very low. And so in this case, you'll notice the only way to buy it is actually through the Birmingham Land Bank. And we'll give you instructions on working through that city level program to buy if you want that vacant lot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I've been actually avoiding those when I see those come up. I know some people like to go down that rabbit hole, but I think they make you, I know with houses now, before you can do anything with them as far as a transfer of deed or title or whatever, you have to renovate them now with the Birmingham Land Bank. Have you purchased something from there?
Yeah, so they have a pretty rigorous process where you have to basically tell them what your plans are with the house, proof of funds, show them your plans, and ultimately they get to decide to reject or move forward with you. But you have to impress them as a responsible taxpayer who's going to help clean up this situation. And if you can convince them of that, they'll sell you the property with a quiet title action, and that's actually a good deal. But like you said, you have to live up to your end of the bargain too, which could involve some serious rehab.
Okay. What about land? You got to do new construction on
it? So land's a little different. The chances of you getting approved with land, I think, is a lot lower if you don't have a plan.
Okay.
But for a neighbor or someone who lives in the neighborhood, they really like those because they know you might come mow the grass or at least keep an eye on it. So if you live there, excellent opportunity. Like an out-of-state investor, though, I seriously doubt you'll get a vacant lot from the land bank.
All right, so let's jump into. I think is Florida in your current list?
Absolutely, yeah. Florida is here.
Okay, boom. Let's get into Florida.
Do you have any counties you like best in Florida, or?
Let's go with since the only one I'm really familiar with. Let's go with Miami-Dade.
Okay, and that one, if I remember right, doesn't have very much in it right now, but we'll check it out because I'm curious too. So yeah, there's only 474 here. But their auction season was in early June. And what happens with them is they advertise leading up to that, and all the counties have their auctions within just a few days of each other at the beginning of June. And what happens immediately after is you start to see their over-the-counter leftovers show up just in the weeks after that. And there's just a feeding frenzy where literally you'll see thousands of properties every week disappearing from the books because people are buying them over the counter. And when I say buying them, what they're buying is a 3-year tax lien at 18% interest. Okay.
So well, let's do this. Break their law down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Process. And so don't let parcel fare fool you. When you jump between states, it might feel like they're very similar, but that's how you buy the property. Once you've bought the lien or the deed, that's where the real differences kick in. So Florida, for example, you have your first attempt to buy property is at a lien auction in June every year. And that's when a property has been just delinquent from the previous tax year. That's all. So it's not very far delinquent at all. What you do is you buy from the auction, and you get that 3-year tax lien. And you'll notice I didn't say foreclosable because that's Alabama. It's 3-year foreclosable. Florida, it's a 3-year tax lien. At the end of that 3 years, if you hold on to it or if you collect the 3 years past tense and buy them up, you then can push the county to have what's called a deed auction. Okay. So let's say I just bought the 3 liens on a property and I push it to a deed auction with the county. Okay. Ty, you can show up to the deed auction and outbid me for it. I have no advantage as the lien holder whatsoever, except I just happen to know that the property is going to be there. Wow. So it's very strange. And so, so Florida, again, you have the tax lien auction first, and then you have over the counters, which over the counter is really what you're looking at right now. And I'll show you a little trick in Florida. Remember how I told you want to see if you want to buy a property that already has 3 liens available for it.
Okay.
We can actually filter that down for you and show you properties that are at least 3 years delinquent, where you could go back, buy those liens up at 18%, and go push it to a deed auction if that's what your strategy is. And so let's.
So if you push it to it for the person that holds the liens, what's the advantage for them pushing to a deed auction?
Well, so a couple things. If you're holding the liens, that's when the deed auction is when you get paid your 18%. Okay.
Okay.
So for one thing, if you want to get your interest on your liens, that's the event that triggers it, is that deed auction.
Okay. So
and yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, be a little cautious there, because if I were to go buy up the liens on a property right now, and let's say I bought 3 years worth, I don't immediately show up and say 18%. It's actually prorated. Okay. So I don't get to claim 3 years at 18%, the same month I bought it. It's going to be prorated by how long I held the liens. However, the counties have a minimum interest rate. I think the default is 5%, and some of them are higher. So I could make 5% on my money within maybe possibly a month of when I bought it. So if you look at it from that perspective, that's not too bad.
I got you. Okay, so let me ask you. Whenever you start talking about like if someone redeems a lien or whatever, a deed, is that compounded per year, or just a straight 12% on what you spend, or 18%?
Let's see. So in Alabama, you know what? Let's look at the payoff worksheet we had pulled up.
Okay.
It looks like it compounds on here, right?
Okay.
In Florida, to be honest, I'm not sure in Florida if it compounds or if it ends at the end of that year. I've not actually seen myself one go that far in the process.
Okay. All right. Okay. So in Florida, let's do Escambia County and see if there's more activity.
All right. Let's do Escambia. And I did filter for 3 liens at least, so you're going to see it filtered down.
Okay.
But we've got some lots near the coast here that have at least 3 available liens. Okay, and it looks like we're in a developing area. So let's just take one of these properties, and you're going to see this is the big difference from Alabama. This 3 tax lien available. We'll actually show you on the site where you would purchase these. These are the different liens you're looking at, and you see there's a certificate number for each one of them, so that when you go to purchase them, you know what you're buying, and each one has a slightly different amount on the sale. See. So
basically, for under $400, you could get this property.
You would push it to a deed auction and tie that 400 up at 18%. Yes.
Okay. So when you push it to a deed auction, will you be the only one able to bid on it? It's just made available to the public at that point.
Anybody can show up. That's the unfortunate part. I guess from the county's perspective, it's a good thing because they get more buyers, maybe drive the price up. But for the investor, it's unfortunate. And if you're trying to actually buy and acquire property in Florida, you can probably just skip over liens and go straight for the deeds.
Okay. So now once you get that deed in Florida, what type of ownership does it give you?
Let's see. So buying the tax deed in Florida, we don't have them on the website yet. This is actually, you caught me right on the edge of we're about to do that. So I don't know off the top of my head what the redemption period is, but once the redemption period's up, you could complete the foreclosure. Okay.
Does that automatically wipe out any additional debt like mortgages or any other?
No. So it would clear, essentially you've only satisfied the tax liens at that point. So, and this is an area I highly recommend that you talk to our friend Greg Stanley. He's my attorney for these things, and
I have a 10 a.m. Zoom meeting with him Monday.
Fantastic. So one of the things that he's like a whiz at is talking about the quiet title action process, and essentially that suit that takes care of or forces the issue on other liens. And so, in Birmingham, that could be sewer liens, and other places it may be an HOA lien or something like that. I don't think this house cuts their grass, so it could be an HOA lien here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's the process in Florida somewhat. What about Arizona?
So Arizona, very similar to Florida. You have a 3-year, 16% tax lien, but it is foreclosable in Arizona. So that's one advantage over Florida. And in Arizona, we actually do have both deeds and liens on the website. Their auctions are in February. So they're typically the first state we run with every year. Is we get to see their auctions go first. But right now there's still a lot of over-the-counter properties. Again, both liens and deeds in Arizona. So
all right. So what Maricopa? It's what, it only like 4 or 5 counties in the state of Arizona.
there's only 15 total.
Yeah, I know it was so small number, and it's a decent sized state.
Mhm.
So Maricopa is what mostly is part of probably the main county in that Phoenix metro area.
Yeah, so you have Maricopa. Coconino is kind of popular. It's just north of that. And there's one other one that has a decent amount of inventory in it as well, and it's escaping me. But
Starts with a P.
is it Pima? I think.
I think so.
Okay, so yeah, there's here. Man, we're zooming out. It's funny. The map's a whole different color there. It's a lot of
the desert.
Dirt. It's a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
But wow, there's a lot of properties loading up.
Yeah.
But we can start clicking on some of them, and so you're going to see again. We try to keep that experience very similar for you. So when you see a property report in Arizona, it's going to be very similar to Florida, Alabama, anywhere else. I think we choked the internet down here. So this one's kind of sparse. It's you're buying desert.
Squares, they call them desert squares.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that but this is Cochise County, and like any other state, we're going to walk you through the process. This one is a very manual one. So we give you links to the form and the address to send it to, and we tell you to contact Brissa. So that's one of the things we try to do is, if we're going to show you property, we're going to walk you through how to buy it and not leave you hanging.
Wow. All right. The window on the side, like when you have the map up of any particular area, those are properties to the right there. What is that? Just what's in the screen at the time?
So it's we put in like the top 100 properties over here. So a lot of times you run a search and it's so targeted that you can't even see the properties on the map because there's just so few. And so in that case, we want to give you a way to kind of see it this way, and basically kind of preview it, and then you can go find it on the map like I just did, and it'll go take you to the spot where it's at so you can actually view it.
Of course you've had the this tool, your software, out for a minute now. Do you have any just known success stories to share with the tool?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you two kind of diverse ones. One of them is people who built businesses off of this. It's funny because they'll tell me about it after the fact, and I go kicking myself that I didn't think of that. When we launched Arkansas, several of our users launched successful wholesaling businesses where they would advertise the property that we would show on Parcel Fair, and they would advertise it directly on a website that they would just drive Facebook traffic to maybe. And it was the way the way Arkansas was conducting business at the time. You could go buy this property for maybe a few $100, maybe a few thousand, and it was I believe it's a 10-day redemption on a tax deed. So these wholesalers would say, well, I could sell you this vacant lot for $7,000 and publish that. And so someone would come in to get them under contract. They would immediately turn around and buy from the state almost instantly. And that 10-day waiting period would be up. And basically, I mean, every deal they're pocketing several $1,000s, and everybody's happy because someone's found an obscure way to buy a property and someone else is getting a good deal.
Wow.
So Arkansas then, I don't know how much of this is our fault, but their inventory drained that year.
Oh, wow.
And it happened to be COVID year, and so they also skipped their auction, so they didn't get replenished. But the next year, they implemented a much tighter system that if I were to try to go buy that property now, it kicks off a short-term auction where anybody can bid on it until somebody wins. And so instead of buying that property for pennies on the dollar, now I have competition if I try to go do that. But we had some people build businesses out of that for several years that did great. But I would say on the other end of the spectrum, I almost hesitate to tell you this one because your mileage will vary. But we had an out-of-state lady that started up with us and just wanted to talk about wholesaling and the cash for key strategy. And we told her, hey, knock it out. Here's how you do the research. And so she did just 100 properties. She did a list of 100 properties that met her criteria in one area, Birmingham. The first phone call she made, she skipped trace, called the owner, and there was $2,700 owed in back taxes. She negotiated a deal for a quit claim on the property for $3,200. Okay. She never came to the state. She sent, I believe Greg Stanley did perform the quit claim signature for her. He helps out of state folks too. And they got the paperwork in order, and she turned around and flipped it for over 30 grand. So she 10x'd her money in a span of, I think, maybe 60 days or something. And, you hear about that story and it's like, well, surely that can't be, the norm. And I guess the first phone call you make is usually not that normal to do that.
Yeah.
But I get stories all the time of people that will take 100 and they'll whittle it down and get to maybe the 4 deals that they're going to focus on. Mm-hmm. And some of maybe they get 3 out of those 4 deals finally work. And it's just a matter of putting in that hustle to be able to talk to an owner and understand what the values are and which properties to avoid. But people are hustling and making a living off of this, which that makes me excited to work on it. So.
Oh my God, yeah, it's unbelievable, man. I actually had the as I told you, I think when we talked, when well, it is simple, and most people, well, if you don't know it, here it is. You find a problem, and you create and you solve it. Normally, you can make money, right?
Right.
And so when I got a hold of that book, just like you did, but maybe a few years before you did, I was like, it has to be a better way. I know nothing about software development or anything like that, but I said, I maybe need to just hire someone. Well, let me tell you how I was thinking about it. I was going to just hire a lot of a few VAs and get them just to go through it and just create, if nothing else, an Excel sheet with the actual address. That would have been better than, what it was. But what you put together, oh, my God, there's no way in 1,000 years plus 2 I would have been able to put something like this together, because of just all the things that interest, small things that go into something like this is so impressive. Let me ask you, so the counties, the states that you've chosen at this point, why those particularly? Alabama, I get. Why the states that you've chosen so far are here on the site and what's coming down the pipe?
Absolutely. So, Alabama was the native thing. I was living here, or still living here, and that was the natural thing. Mississippi and Arkansas had very similar tax deed systems, but actually both of them have a shorter redemption period. So I pulled those in next. I knew we needed to kind of break out of that rut, and so I looked at popular states that have drastically different laws. And Arizona and Florida being tax lien states with various redemption and deed possibilities, we pursued both of those. And actually, after talking with a lot of investors and taking feedback, the next 2 were Indiana and Tennessee. And those are very auction heavy. They don't have those vast over-the-counter databases to pull from. But seasonally speaking, right now we're in the Indiana auction season. And if you want me to show you that one, it's really incredible.
Yeah. Let's just definitely look at that.
And
if you want to explain that process a little bit, I know you. It's just simply going to the auction, you get the deed, and if you'll explain that process in Indiana.
Sure. So we just started Indiana last month, actually, and basically what we're doing is they have the fall tax tax season that happens in September through somewhere as late as December. They call it the fall auction season, and it's a tax lien auction, and some of them are online, some of them in person. So what we try to do is walk you through which way to go depending on what you're looking at.
Oh, you got it up.
So this is what you were probably looking at back.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's not much useful at all.
Information. You got the person's name. Okay, whatever. You got the amount bid at the tax sale, whatever. And then you got those what that code year. I guess that's a CS number, and then the class, the code, then the parcel, then the zoning. So I'm sorry, the legal description. So man, what were you oh my God, so people that were doing it definitely before your tool came along, you were way ahead of the game because this was going to discourage a lot of people.
Yeah. It's it really kind of has gotten to the point where it's a no-brainer. If you don't want to deal with this, we can definitely help you out. So I'll take that away. All right. So in Indiana, we're looking at 20,000 parcels right now, and we still have opportunity zones on. So I'm actually going to turn that off because it's just a lot going on.
Okay.
So people think of Indianapolis a lot, and they also think of Gary being a suburb of Chicago. That is Lake County, and it is the largest auction going up there. And you can see just the density of housing that will be going to that auction.
Wow, everything.
It's everything in the neighborhood. And, so you're essentially shooting, it's like fish in a barrel. It's just everything. But we'll pick one and let's just take a look at, I don't know, something with a rooftop, I guess. Maybe this one. So yeah, you've got a house here and one tax lien available. And let's, when we talk about the purchase instructions earlier on the over-the-counters, we'd walk you through how to buy. For an auction, we're going to walk you through where it is, how to register, and give you links to go do all that. So it's an online auction with a company called Zeus Auctions. And you can click here to register or click here to go view the list where we pulled the property from. But that's pretty much how the auction goes. Is you start off with a big list, and in the days leading up to the auction, it kind of bleeds down a little bit, whittles down as properties fall out of the auction as they get redeemed.
Oh, meaning like people go ahead and pay the taxes before?
Yeah, they might wait till the last minute and just knock the taxes out.
I got you. Okay. All right. So what states are well, do this for me. What's the redemption period in Mississippi and Arizona right now?
Okay, so the redemption period in Mississippi, man, you put me through my paces. For a tax lien that you would buy, you are looking at a 2-year redemption period.
Okay.
And it is 16%. And the weird thing about Mississippi is they do allow overbidding at the auction, but if you do apply extra funds in the overbid and the person redeems, you do not get the overbid funds back.
Wow.
It's different than any other market I've worked in. In Alabama, if you're working in the overbid counties, you can tie up all kinds of money and you get it back plus interest up to a certain point. But in Mississippi, you literally lose the money. So it kind of keeps people away from the lien auctions as much, but it steers a lot of people to this over-the-counter process where you buy from what's called the Tax Forfeited Lands Department. It's a division of the Secretary of State that we have on the website. And what's cool about those properties is that the state has gone to the expense of actually doing the quiet title action and clearing it out for you. So you're buying a property that's already kind of like a land bank. It's already got the quiet title applied, and you don't have a lot of the concerns you might have if you just bought the tax lien.
Okay. All right. And then Arkansas?
So Arkansas is a deed-only state. So if you buy at the auction or if you buy over the counter, it's a deed either way. The last I checked, it was a 10-day redemption, which means you are essentially on the spot when you buy one of these, especially over the counter. As soon as that completes, the process is in the works and you're moving. So it's maybe the shortest redemption period I've seen.
And does that give you ownership?
Yes. Yeah. So
wow.
The tax deed is it.
Wow. Okay. Well, what about Texas? I have a couple of people out there that I know. I know that's not one of the states right now. Well, let me ask before I go into that. what's on the radar, and what's like up next? Who's up next?
Yeah. We mentioned Florida. I've got all the tax liens for the auction and over the counter. We're going to do their tax deeds next. Okay.
Okay.
And those are monthly auctions. They're very frequent per county. And then if they clear that auction, then there's yet another way to buy those in the leftover bin, if you will. So we're going to add the Florida tax deeds. We're working on Michigan right now. And we're also, looking very strongly at Nevada. We've already done a few auctions in Oklahoma and New Mexico. We're probably going to continue to grow in those states. And beyond that, we're looking at land banks in Ohio and kind of open-ended from there. We're trying to understand where our users want to take us. Maybe Maryland, something like that. That would be of appeal to the people that are using our software.
So back to Texas, is that on the radar, or is it because it's so massive?
Texas is a funny one. So it's probably the most investor-friendly state if you look at their laws. And I'd have to refresh my memory. You get it's some ridiculous amount of interest every 6 months, I believe, until you can foreclose on the property, which I think is 1 year. But I want to say it's like 25% interest at 6 months, and then 25% again at 6 months.
Wow.
You may have to double check me on that one, but there's
200. I know it. Yeah, I know it's 25. 25% in 6 months. I'm not sure about the second one. I've been researching it over the last couple of days. And it's 254 counties.
Yeah, that's the real kicker, right? It's a massive state, and instead of the counties hosting their auctions, they use law firms, and those law firms attorneys will take the inventory lists and publish them and actually hold the auction on behalf of the county. So we do have interests in getting into Texas. Oh, and by the way, the auctions, from what I've seen, are in person. So the online presence is very small. We'd like to help with that. So it's going to be a chore. There's a lot of lists, a lot of counties, and I think a lot of opportunity, though. It's an interesting state.
Yeah, man. Wow. I'm trying to think of, is there anything that I actually missed by with the tool or whatever, because it's just a gold mine of opportunities here if you understand how to leverage this much information and data all in one place. I think people say, well, I don't live in Alabama, I don't live in Arkansas, I don't live in Mississippi. You just heard the man say this lady, she was out of town, and she used the tool and narrowed it down to 100 properties. And the very first call she made, she was able to get a property for was that $3,200 plus the taxes, or just $3,200 total?
It was $3,200 total. She paid $2,700 in taxes and a $500 whatever you call it, premium, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so for $3,200, turned over $30,000 and didn't live here and never saw the property or whatever. So so that opportunity exists not only here in Alabama or any state. It's just another form, if you're talking about wholesaling, of virtual wholesaling, or getting some ownership of some real estate at a significant discount to do whatever you would like with. So anything else you want to share that you think we may have missed?
Well, you did touch on one thing, and I busted out the calculator this afternoon because I was thinking, I keep telling people we save them some time.
Yep.
But every week our machines are just running, and they're just recalculating information, fixing addresses, checking on vacancies, just all nonstop. And so I found out, like, if you were to do this by hand and compare it to the machines, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Every week we're performing 408,000 man hours of research.
Wow.
Which, if you were to do that by hand, would take you on an 8-hour day, 7 days a week, it would take you 140 years. And we do that every week. So when I say we save you time, we save you lifetimes. It's extreme automation on your side, and it really it helps you as an individual investor. It equips you to punch above your weight and invest with some of the bigger investors out there.
Nice. All right. So if you will, let's get into pricing for the service and what type of offer we're going to be able to offer to them, just for anyone in my little universe that follows my content, and what we can offer them.
Absolutely. So our annual subscription is $400 a year, and the monthly is $45. And so what we're doing with you is we have a $15 off for your subscribers using the promo code.
Okay.
And I'll give you that promo code. I don't have it in front of me right now, but basically that would apply also to the annual if you want to do the $15 off too. But if you're looking at monthly, it takes the edge off of that and gives you a chance to try the software out without a big investment.
Okay, so that's 15 off the 45 a month, or is it?
Yep.
Oh wow, so it'll be $30. Okay.
Yep.
And then off the total year to be what is that, 385?
Correct.
Okay, great. All right, yeah. So we'll come up with you'll have the promotional code, or we can come up with it right now and it'll be whatever we want it to be.
You just tell me what you want it to be, I'll make it.
We'll just do Flip Man. Okay.
Easy.
All right, Tim, man. Wow. Love it. Unbelievable tool. Again, I knew it was a problem. Someone was going to come up with a solution. Just amazing, man. So I know the sky's the limit. You're going to do more states coming soon. Just makes sense to do it. And I appreciate the wealth of knowledge, your time. You scheduled this on a short notice, and we'll probably reconvene as you add more states or whatever, and do more of these. I'd like to say you can get $15 off the monthly subscription if you do the promo code FlipMan, and off the actual yearly subscription if you take on that option. So again, Tim, we appreciate you sharing your time with us. Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
That's been a pleasure.
I know you probably have already seen enough, and you want this tool. Now, if you want to get this tool at a discount, simply use the promo code FlipMan. That's right. Promo code is FlipMan. Now back to the video.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I appreciate you having me on the show, and look forward to staying in touch.
All right, no problem at all, man. Thanks, guys, and we will see you all on the flip side.
Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. Text me and I'll text you back. You text me then I'll text you back. Text me then I'll text you back. TikTok, you don't stop. I will help you make your paper stack. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at now? 205-964-5243. Yep. 205-964-5243. You know.